My name is Paige LeBlanc and I'm here with Keath Gerald, and today we will be talking about organ and tissue donation and transplantation. So Keith, can you tell me your connection to organ and tissue donation?
Well, I'm a heart and liver recipient, and I work for the New Jersey Sharing Network as a community educator.
So what was your life like before you received the transplant?
It was the roughest time in my life, in and out of the hospital, living with a defibrillator, going to class with IV drugs, taking 15 to 20 pills a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point in your life did you receive them?
Age of 25.
Was it both of them at the same time or two different times?
Same time, same donor, same
Yeah.
surgery.
Oh.
And I had to wait in the hospital 29 days for a transplant.
Were you always born
No,
with this, or
I
did it all
caught
just
a
happen?
virus in college, and
Really?
it attacked my heart, and it left the left side of my heart paralyzed.
Oh my gosh.
And my heart was pumping at 32%. So, as you imagine, I wasn't able to walk, I wasn't able to run, play with my friends. I had to take time off from school, and since my transplant, I was able to finish college, and I was able to work for the New Jersey Sharing Network. I was able to see my nephew come into this world. A lot of great things happened through my transplant.
Yeah. How much did you know about organ and tissue donation before this happened?
I knew a little bit. They went into my my high school, and they did a presentation about the Jason Ray story, and it was a young man, the mascot for the Tar Heels, and he was in New Jersey for March Madness, a basketball tournament, and he got hit by a car, and he was able to save all these lives through organ and tissue donation. And I thought it was the coolest thing, and I told my mother, and she was like, "There's no way you're gonna be an organ donor." And little did I know that I would be the person that would need a heart transplant.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's pretty much all I really knew. I didn't know the details about how many lives can be saved through organ and tissue donation.
Yeah.
And I learned this later on in life, but there were people in my family that donated a kidney, and we just
Really?
didn't talk about it. It was just
Yeah.
very, I guess, taboo, and it was just underneath the carpet.
Yeah. How was the recovery process?
The recovery process, I think, was pretty good. I think age was a factor in my recovery.
Yeah.
So after my transplant, about a month later, I was able to walk in a 5K. Right.
Wow,
So
yeah.
and 9 months later, I was able to participate in Transplant Games of America, where I competed versus other people that had transplants, and I won 7 medals.
Would you participate in that?
1 in basketball, 1 in the softball throw, and 5 in swimming.
Wow.
So I'm like the Michael Phelps and LeBron James.
Oh, yeah.
Of the world. Yeah. So that's basically, and after that, I feel different as a sense of my attitudes towards life. I don't know if it's the process I went through to get all this and all that happened, or I'm just so grateful that I have this new lease on life, and I look at people differently. We all have the power to save and enhance lives. We all have the power to say yes to organ donation. We have so much power to do something so significant as into, some people might say it's just checking a box, but to me it was just an opportunity to do so many great things.
Yeah.
And now I use that gift to inspire others and motivate people to sign up as organ donors. Not sign up, but not just sign up right away, but just have that initial talk with their family about why is it important to be organ donor. If that's your wishes, then tell your family that's your wishes.
Yeah. Were you placed on the waiting list for long?
Yeah. Well, my story is a little different about the waiting list. So I was trying to get worked up for a heart transplant, and in trying to get on the list, they found that my liver was so scarred, and I had to get transferred to another hospital, which took 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
And I finally got listed, and my doctor came in. She said, "Well, you're never going to get your heart and liver transplant because of your blood type is really rare and you're really tall." So I had to write a letter to UNOS, which is the United Network of Organ Sharing, to request that I move up on the list, which is a status 1A. So to be a status 1A, I had to wait in the hospital for my heart and liver transplant.
Yeah.
Not knowing that it might be that day, next week, or next year. So I had to live with constant, is it coming in today? And the answer will always be no. So I found out that I waited in the hospital for 29 days.
Yeah.
And I received my first phone call at 2 a.m. in the morning and they said, we have a heart and liver transplant for you. We don't know if it's a 100% match, but you know, you can go to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, right. I mean, for 29 days for this transplant. Yes, so I stood up for 12 hours, didn't eat dinner, didn't eat breakfast. My family came in and they had to sign all these different papers, a living will, and it was the greatest time and the scariest time of my life. And I was finally able to get that transplant.
Yeah. Have you met or reached out to the donor family, or have they reached out to you?
Actually, every month I had to go for a biopsy. So I was debating writing that list like as soon as I got my transplant, but the nurses insisted, like, just think about it. And my family was like, let them recover, let them, because they lost a loved one, so be sensitive towards that.
Yeah.
So I finally wrote this letter, and I said, the next biopsy, I'm gonna hand it in. I'm gonna hand it into their OPO in Philadelphia. And I found out that they wrote me first, and it was crazy because I found out so many things about my donor. I found out that he was the youngest in his family. I'm the youngest in my family. He has 2 older sisters. I have 2 older sisters.
Oh, wow.
So he has 2 nieces. I have 2 nieces. He has 1 nephew. I have 1 nephew now.
That's crazy.
He has a sense of humor. He enjoys landscaping, hiking. He is an artist. I'm an artist. He's a musical artist. I'm a painter. But it was the similarities between us was just crazy.
Yeah, that is. That's so incredible.
And he was a young male like myself. So.
Yeah. What were you most grateful for throughout your whole experience?
I had this happen to me. Someone asked me this before. Like at Thanksgiving, they always ask you, what are you thankful for? And they really just grab my coattail. But and it was right after my transplant. But I'm really just grateful for just the platform New Jersey Sharing Network gives me. My organ donor saved my life, but the fact that I can share my story to so many different people.
Yeah. And
my organ donor saved my life to inspire other people to save more lives. So it's just, you can't really tell how many lives he's gonna save.
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful for the platform New Jersey Sharing.
Yeah. How'd you first get involved with them?
I came here as just a volunteer. At the time I was not working, I wasn't in school because I was just recovering from my transplant. So this just gave me just something to do. And it's just a weird addiction I have now. It's just going to people and saying, hey, you want to be an organ donor? Why is it important to be an organ donor? I mean, sometimes it gets out of hand when I'm at baseball games and sign up as organ donors. What's wrong with this guy? But started up as a volunteer, and now they're starting this project where they're really pushing us to go into the schools, especially the urban areas, places that aren't familiar with organ tissue donation. Because, when you go to places like Chatham, some of their parents are cardiologists or transplant surgeons, so they're used to it. So, somewhere like a playing field where areas where full of Hispanic people and African Americans are people that are highly placed with diabetes and congestive heart failure, heart disease. I found out that a lot of places like that, a lot of people are waiting for transplant. Actually in Plainfield, I don't know if you're familiar, but Plainfield is a small city, not far from here. It's 6 square miles, and there are 58 people waiting for a transplant.
Wow.
So, you do the math, that's every 1 square mile, 10 people are waiting for a transplant. So, and that was big at one point. So it's just something I'm dedicated in doing right now.
Yeah. Are you just a volunteer here, or do you actually work here now?
I just was employed 3 months ago. Which 3 years ago? 3 months. Yeah, and I love it.
Yeah. What's your position here?
Community educator. So I just go to the high schools, primarily in some of the communities in Union County, Essex County. Yeah.
So aside from working here, what other ways are you involved with spreading awareness?
I go to the 5Ks. Our 5Ks are really awesome, and I'm able to talk to so many donors and recipients, and just clearly just saying thank you for what you do, because they don't really see the end result of some of their donations. Some people just donate their loved ones, and you find out all the people that they save, but they don't have to have a conversation with them. They don't see them running 5Ks. I just give them for that. And some things like just posting on social media, like every now and then I'll just post a stat and just have people just amused, like the stat I gave you, 58 people are playing for, like, what? No way. we just thought you were the only one. So, just spreading the word. Any chance I get, I wear my green bracelet all the time. People always ask me, how'd you get it? And then they get a 10-minute story out of me.
Yeah.
So, ways like that. It's a lot of ways.
Yeah. Have you always been very open with sharing your story with people? Or I know some people are pretty reserved about it, but...
At first, and when I first start working here, as a volunteer, you can always say no or yes, but in Jersey Sharing Network, it's kind of voluntold, as you said. But at first, I just hated it. It was so draining because you don't want to reflect on the worst time of your life. But I know I have to just make that sacrifice because one day somebody might sign up as an organ donor. It saves the life of 8 people. If I can do that, then it's well worth it. So.
Yeah. I
know I don't love it, but I understand what it's making a difference in the world. So I can just take that nudge on my shoulder and just take it.
What's been your favorite and least favorite part about working here, or the more difficult parts?
Are you gonna show some part? No. I think the most difficult part is going into a large group and there might be just one person not paying attention. And I'm so passionate about it. And it's just don't you know? This is just everything to me. If I wasn't for this, I wouldn't be here. But, it was one high school. I'm not going to name the high school. And it was probably the worst high school I've been to. And it was it was just the way it was set up. It was in a cafeteria. So half the kids had their back towards me. So I knew that as somebody that majored in education, I knew this was a disaster waiting to happen. But I just went about and telling my story and bearing through it. And my boss was trying to get people to hush, and it wasn't working. Oh. And one man came up to me at the end of the show. He said, "Man, I really appreciate that. My mom is actually waiting for a kidney right now." And it made my day. If I can just touch one person, then it was well worth it.
Yeah.
So that's the roughest, hardest part.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah. So if someone was debating on whether they wanted to sign up as an organ donor or not, what would you tell them? Like a high schooler or someone that's...
Because I would say definitely do it. Something to just think about first. I wouldn't say just jump in and just do it because it's tough. It's a lot of things you have to take in consideration. Things like how your family will feel. I would say just first have that initial conversation with your family because it might be some weird thing you really just don't want to be an organ donor, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
Then tell your family you don't want to be an organ donor, and things like why take your organs to heaven? God knows we need them right here on earth. But especially when you look at cases like myself and the people I meet day to day, and honestly, I never met a person that had a conversation with a donor. It's I'm good about organ donation. Some people never met someone that is in need of an organ and never had a conversation. And some people are very private about waiting for an organ because, it's difficult,
Yeah.
Especially for things like kidneys. When people ask people for a kidney, it's a weird conversation to have and nobody wants to deal with that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are just quiet about it. So it's a hard thing to do. Just do your research, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned earlier that you're a painter. Did you go to school for art? Or?
Oh, no. I didn't, unfortunately. I did have a minor in studio art, but it was, art was one of those things that was like art therapy for me when I was really sick. So my doctor said, playing basketball and swimming and all those great things I do now, I couldn't do. So find a hobby because there would be some days I was just in the house and doctors would come in and that found that is to be therapy. Actually, I brought my canvas in a few days when I was waiting in the hospital, and that's one thing that can just get my mind off of things. Because when you're waiting for a transplant, you're constantly waiting for that phone call, and it gets so draining. Anxiety takes over. So painting helped.
Yeah, she went to school for art. She
Oh,
was a painter
awesome.
too. That's
awesome.
Sorry.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Thank you for
so
listening.
much for
I had
coming
fun.
in today.
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad I came.
I hope your story will definitely inspire more people to sign up as an organ donor.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Thank you.